Hello YouTube, my name is Robert. I'm a short-term rental arbitrage host from the Midwest, and in this video I'm going to share 10 things that you need to know in order to run your Airbnb business in 2019. So whether you're looking to just create a little side hustle and just have some side income coming in, or you're looking to scale this and make it a massive short-term rental empire, just stay tuned for this video because what I'm about to share with you is stuff from my own experience and I think you guys will find it very helpful. So guys, like I said, I'm a 21-year-old short-term rental arbitrage host from the Midwest, and I don't own the property that I'm currently using to generate real estate cash flow. For a lot of people who want to know more about how that works, you guys are more than welcome to join my Facebook group. There's a lot of hosts in there already. They're very good at answering questions. So for all the hosts in that Facebook group answering questions, you guys are awesome. I really appreciate all of you guys. And if anyone is curious to learn more about this business model, be sure to check out that Facebook group. So the first thing you need to know and the first thing you should consider is the expectation of starting the business and the reality of actually managing and running the business. So this right here will be very helpful for a lot of people who are considering getting started, and it's going to help a lot of you guys in the process of deciding what you want to do, how you want to do it, where you want to host. The expectation you have is you're going to be making X amount of dollars, right? You have this target, you have a $6,000 a month target, you have a $9,000 a month target depending on your location. So this is what your expectation is. You have this idea that you're going to have this cash cow, this cash engine of an Airbnb business generating you income. But the reality of it is you have to actually focus in on these numbers, because how much of that is going to yourself? Are you going to hire a cleaning service? Are you going to have somebody hired full-time to help you with managing the business? Because the truth of the matter is this is going to take a lot of your time and it's going to take a lot of your focus. Make sure you have an end goal at what you want to achieve. Like I said at the beginning, this could either be for a little side hustle, this could be for a little extra $300, $400 a month profit, or this could be a massive full-time opportunity that you're taking on. So figure that out right from the start. If you figure that out from the start, it will definitely change the way you run your business from the start. So once again, guys, keep your end goal in mind at all times. It doesn't matter if you're just getting started. It doesn't matter if you already have listings under your belt. Just be sure you're ready to know where you're going to take this. It's easy to get complacent and it's easy just to let days go by without really having an action plan. So therefore, be aware of that and keep that in mind moving forward. It will definitely help you get the most out of your listing. The third thing, and I think this is probably one of the most important things that I'm sharing with you today, and I'm just gonna get out of the way because it is that important. This is keep a balance sheet and make sure you're tracking your P&L, your profit and loss. Make sure you know a little bit about accounting and you know how to scale a business based off of numbers. Last year, I was able to encounter a really elite person from Springfield. He owns a lot of hospice and home health companies, and he's actually just dominating the market. He bought out a lot of his competition. This guy's a multimillionaire, and I was able to meet him in person. I asked him a question. I was like, what is the key to scaling a business successfully? And he told me that the first thing anyone that wants to scale a business the right way needs to do is they need to learn a little bit about accounting. So he said, go find out as much as you can, go learn as much information about accounting as possible. And therefore, guys, this is the most important thing I could share with you today, because you won't be able to grow a business based off of emotions and based off of relationships. The only way you'll be able to properly scale a business is by actually looking at the numbers, seeing what's staying in your bank account, seeing what's leaving, analyzing the profit and loss, and being able to adjust that, right? If you have the control and you have the power to tweak those numbers as the owner, as the man operating the entire business. So therefore, guys, that is probably one of the most helpful things that I could tell you today and that I have heard in the past from a really influential, a really inspirational figure. If that is the only thing you get from this video, just be sure to apply that into your life. Start a balance sheet, look at your numbers, look where your money's going, right? Look at where that revenue, that target $6,000 a month, $9,000 a month, see where that revenue is going and figure out what you can do to increase your profits, because overall, guys, profits is all that matters. And this brings me to the fourth thing that you need to consider while running your Airbnb business in 2019. Many of you guys may enter this market and you guys may enter this opportunity with the arbitrage method, where you're leasing or you're renting from a property owner in order to use the unit for Airbnb and short-term rentals. So with this, guys, there's a lot that can go into it. And one thing that I don't want to see any of you guys do is sign a lease agreement with a losing property. Losing property meaning that you guys didn't do proper research and there's just not a great market for it there. There's not enough volume for you to cover your expenses, and you're kind of stuck with a very big loss. Chances are there's nothing you can do to control that factor that the market is not there. So you're gonna have to consider what your options are. You'll figure this out within the first month. I think I've mentioned this in a few videos of mine in the past. You'll definitely be able to tell if the property will cash flow right off the bat with short-term rentals or if it won't. And this is very obvious right in the first day, in the first week, in the first month. Depending on the market that you're in, you'll be able to see that volume. You'll be able to understand what numbers you need in order to be profitable. Cut your losses quickly if you want to scale this and if you want to run a successful Airbnb operation. And if you're just trying to make an extra side income for the month or for the year, definitely consider this and don't hold on to those losses. Let's move on to number 5. I've mentioned that you need a good location. So with location, that brings me to the next thing, and this is you're gonna have neighbors who are gonna be affected by this. This definitely goes both ways. If you are in an apartment complex or if you're in a single family home, you're gonna have neighbors. You're gonna have people who live there, and they're gonna be affected by your short-term rental. If you wanna think of it that way or not, they definitely will. So I definitely advise going out and speaking to them. Like, how are you gonna handle an angry neighbor? You gotta keep that in mind. How are you gonna handle someone who doesn't want you to have a short-term rental right next door? So guys, this is something to be very considerate of when planning and when starting. Obviously, if it's your property and you own the property, nobody should be able to tell you what to do with that property. I mean, at least that's kind of how I feel about it. But at the same time, there are regulations, there are things to consider. There's factors that you can't control when it comes to who your neighbors are. So the best thing I could tell you right now is go out there and speak to your neighbors face to face, introduce yourself, and let them know that you're hosting an Airbnb right next door. This is probably going to be the best way you can go about it. Make sure you have a good, healthy relationship with all of them. And if they have something negative to say about it, then be sure to figure out where the problem is, right? Find the root of their issue and see how you can solve it. I recently had a neighborhood meeting required by the city. I was able to persuade these neighbors to have a positive outlook on the model, even though they came in there with a negative outlook on it. So that's something you could do, is just consider talking to them and making sure that they are aware of it. That way they won't be alarmed if there's a different car in the driveway every night. So this brings me to step 6, and this is pretty straightforward. You need to consider your risk and reward. Something that you are doing while hosting an Airbnb, or if you're listing on any other home sharing website, you're introducing strangers into your home. You're allowing them to be in there with your belongings and that stuff you paid for. So you have to consider the risk involved. Now, this is not to deter anyone from the business model. I've personally dealt with an experience that has been rather unpleasant. I just want to give you guys a heads up about that because it's not always going to be a smooth ride. So you guys better be prepared to put that risk out there. You're going to have a TV in the house. You're going to have personal belongings that might go missing. One time we had a guest take all of our towels. We had no towels left in the house. And that was stressful because we had another guest checking in that day. Just to sum it up, you have to consider the fact that you're going to be allowing a complete stranger into your property or into your unit, into whatever it is that you have liability connected to, right? You are responsible for the damages done to that thing. You're responsible for anything stolen, and therefore you want to be aware of that moving forward. One thing I must mention is that you will be dealing with liability issues. People will be coming in and out of the property. So I recommend getting some type of liability insurance. It's not required, but at the same time, having something in place to protect yourself is always good. So number 7, I think, is being ready for the time that you're going to be putting into this thing. Right from the start, if it's your first listing, you're probably going to want to be there as much as possible, learning everything you possibly can. And that way, when it comes time to get 2 listings, 3 listings, 4, you are completely knowledgeable on what to expect, all the little knickknacks, all the little details that you may have missed had you not been there paying attention to it. Because it's easy just to outsource it all, put it all on a manager, put it all on a cleaning service, delegating all the tasks to certain people and then just being hands off. That's easy, but from the beginning, I definitely think a successful Airbnb host will be there cleaning the property, seeing what all needs to be done, and therefore that's going to take a lot of time. So time management is a huge thing. That's number 7. I think number 7, you need to be aware of time management. So if you have a full-time schedule, if you're working 40 hours a week, how are you going to incorporate the Airbnb business into that schedule? So for me, I'm grateful enough to where I don't have to be at a full-time job, and therefore I have a lot of time that I can give the business, and I can give attention to guests, and I can give attention to certain aspects of the business to keep it running. So guys, consider that. And if you have a family, if you have a wife, you have kids, and vice versa, like, make sure you are able to manage your time wisely with this and give it the time that it needs. So that brings me to number 8. This is a very important thing to me, and I definitely am applying this more in my thought process moving forward. So what you can consider is that you can host remotely. This is something that I have not done yet, guys, but I'm definitely thinking about it. I'm looking at potential opportunities. Definitely keep in mind that you can host from a remote location. This is a very appealing idea to me, and the fact that people are already doing it is very reassuring. So essentially what I'm saying here is you can have a listing in this town or in this city, and you actually don't have to live there. You could be completely hands off, and you could have that listing. Once you've been there, once you've set it up, once you've done all the hands-on work yourself, you can actually delegate the tasks, and that is something to consider moving forward if you live in an area that doesn't have the best market. So for example, my city, the population in the city of Springfield is like 167,000. And if you take into account the surrounding area, it's definitely a bigger number. But for the most part, this town I live in, it's on a scale of like comparing it to big mega cities. It's not there. It's a very small town, and People come here for whatever reason, right? People always travel. So guys, one thing you need to consider is you can maybe take the idea, right? If you've done it successfully in your city, you could take the idea and implement it in a different city where the market is better, where you're gonna see a higher tourist volume, where you're just gonna see more traffic to your Airbnb listing. So number 9 is that you need to have a scaling mentality throughout the entire process. This kind of brings me back to one of the first points I made, but in all reality, you know, keep in mind your end goal, keep in mind what you have planned to do with this business model. But having a scaling mentality will overall help you if you're trying to add supplemental income to your household income. Having a scaling mentality will definitely help with that, because once you have a listing up and running, whether you've bought the place, whether you do rental arbitrage, once you have that successful working model that the listing is generating you positive cash flow every single month, you can take that information and that experience that you have and apply it across the board in whatever it may be. Some of you guys may know this, some of you guys may not, but I'm actually going out and speaking to a lot of apartment complex owners right now, getting their information, getting information that may potentially help me get a listing in one of their apartment complexes. So just recently, I met with a really big investment group. I met with the president of a massive investment group, and he told me that he loves the idea. So guys, that is a positive thing. And one of the things he said in this meeting when I chatted with him for about 30 minutes, and he told me he loves the business model, and for him, revenue is revenue. Go out there, have a scaling mentality, be ready to scale it. It's only gonna get better once you have more listings. That's gonna bring you a higher revenue. And if you're taking my advice from step 3 and you know how to run a balance sheet, you know how to keep track of your profits and losses, then you'll have no issue scaling this business. So the last thing I'm sharing with you guys today, and this is number 10, what will you be paying yourself? Keep that in mind the whole time. This whole time I've been talking about the revenue of the business, the profits of the business, but guys, keep in mind that that is the business revenue, and you have to consider what of that you're gonna be giving yourself as a payment, right? For all the work you're doing, for all your efforts. It's cool having the business model and having it working and having that account with just cash growing because you're doing it successfully. But at the end of the day, what percentage of that money are you gonna be giving yourself for doing all this work? And ultimately, guys, it could stay in that account. You know, it doesn't matter. Depending on your financial situation, it really comes down to what you need that money for, right? Everyone has a reason for going out and starting this business model. A lot of you guys want to see a lot of positive cash flow. A lot of you guys just want supplemental income coming in, additional income to what you already have as your earned income, which is a very smart thing. And I advise a lot of you guys look into this simply because it is a very easy way to add additional income to what you're already making. So guys, that is my 10th piece of advice to you. That's what you need to consider, is like, what are you going to pay yourself every single month? And therefore you got to consider that in the profit and losses, because that's money coming out of the business into your pocket. And then again, guys, there's taxes. I'm not going to get into taxes. I'm not a CPA. I'm a 21-year-old and I don't have all the tax advice. Definitely go to CPA, talk about all that with them. And I've gotten tax questions in the past, but I feel uneasy and uncertain about answering them. I've always given my best answer, but at the same time, go find a personal accountant. The only thing you need to know about your taxes and to know about your numbers is how to run a P&L. Keep that in mind. Know how to run your balance sheet, know how to run your profit and loss statement, and you're gonna scale your business based off of numbers once again. That is all my information for the day. I hope you guys really enjoyed this video, and if you guys wanna see more content like this, be sure to subscribe to this channel. It's growing, and I love to see the growth here. I love to see everyone connected. And once again, guys, I have that Facebook group. You guys are more than welcome to join it. Smash that like button, and I will definitely be looking forward to seeing you guys in the next video.